the path to wealth, it's simple. It's not easy, but it's pretty simple. It's available to everybody who's willing to be consistent, deliberate, and to execute. And the challenge really comes down to not the knowledge, it comes down to the application of what you learn and applying what you learn into things that actually make a difference, things that solve a problem for people. This can all be summed up with 6 simple laws of wealth. Let me teach you them and show you how to apply them in your life. Welcome back, everybody. It's another week, another wealth webinar. Today, we're going to get into some simple, basic things about building wealth. What if I told you there were 6 things that you had to do, 6 laws you had to follow, and if you followed the 6 laws, you would most certainly be wealthy. There are a couple things that you need to understand, and number one of those is wealth is not built in a day. Wealth is built over time, but it is built more specifically daily. So wealth isn't built in a day, but it is built daily. And I think that's a really important thing when we start thinking about building wealth. And what we're going to do today, we're going to show you a couple things, 6 specific laws that have been around since, I guess, since civilization began. And those simple laws can be applied by you very easily. These laws all tie into what we teach every single day, which is you taking back control of your money, you taking back the banking functions in your life. In other words, removing the bank, and you take back all the functions that the banks took away from you many, many moons ago. And that includes paying yourself interest, paying yourself principal. The easiest way to sum that up is if you think about it, and you look at all your bills, all your monthly payments you make, imagine if you made all those same monthly payments, okay, whether or not you're living paycheck to paycheck or you're living in abundance, imagine if you took those payments that you pay to all your debtors, but now you paid them to yourself. Would your life be different? And you know, a lot of times people tell us, oh, I'm too old, or it's too late. I'll tell you this, it is never, ever too late. You never quit, okay? It's never too late, but it's never too early. I think it's important to understand that. Although a lot of people are like, well, now is the time, and you're right, it is. So I want to dive into this, and I really want to kind of just explain to you that these 6 laws of wealth will help you during a recessionary period as well. As a matter of fact, it won't just help you, it will position you to build wealth much quicker, because more millionaires and more wealth is created out of a recessionary period than any other period of time. But it's only created for those that prepared and those that are ready, okay? Those who are preparing daily for this. You know, we come across a lot of people that, like, when something bad happens, you know, they're blaming something in their past. They're blaming something that happened. But a lot of times, if you track it back, you can find that there's a pattern. You know, and I live that pattern, folks. Like, I will be the first one to tell you. You know, I'm not going to get into my story, but I've had massive highs and massive lows. And you know, it's funny, going all the way back to the early 2000s, I'll start there. You know, I was living what I would call a dream. I was a pro snowboarder, running my skateboard, snowboard shops, Fat Man board shops, and everything was perfect. And then the dot-com recession hit. I didn't even know what a recession was. I was like 22, 23 years old. I mean, I'd heard the word recession, but I'd never lived through one. Not one that I remembered, not one that impacted me. And you know, the parallel to that is that was back then. And here we are now in 2026, probably on the verge of what will eventually be a recession. I can't tell you when, because you can't time the market, but late this year, early next year, make no 2 ways about it. That's where we're going, folks. You know, a lot of people will sit there and try to tell you that the markets are going to go up and everything's going to go up. Maybe they go up a little bit more, but then they're going to come back down. You know, once this Iran thing ends, yeah, the markets will pop, but can they hold those higher levels? On what grounds? They can't. They just won't. So it's better to start preparing for the recession, but preparing for not the recession. I hate that word. But that's what they're going to call it in the news. That's what they're going to call it when you're kind of talking to friends. Oh, this recession wiped us out. You're going to call it your opportunity. That's what this recession is going to be. It's going to be your opportunity. But the thing is like the path to wealth, it's not simple. Okay? It's very attainable. It's not simple and it's not easy, but you could do it. And I got a couple things before I get into the 6 laws of wealth. because I think that's what we're going to do. And then I'm going to take you back and I'm going to show you what we found, okay, what I found, and then what my whole team found, called the Infinite Banking Concepts, how that has helped us get where we are today. And we've taught thousands of people. And there's a couple things that I want to do that I kind of have a really cool way to do. Is first, I want to have Craig up on the screen put up the 6 laws of wealth. We're just going to put them right out there. And I want you all to write these down. Now, there's an interesting little caveat on how this whole 6 laws of wealth happened. I was on a plane, and somebody had told me, you got to read The Richest Man in Babylon. So what I did is I read this book, and I read it, and I read it, and I read it, and I read it. And I took each one of those passages, those 7 rules of gold, and I said, how do we take this and make this modern day times? And I basically came up with 6 applicable laws of wealth out of the 7 rules of gold. They are almost identical, but they are modernized and brought to the time. So I cannot take credit for the 6 laws of wealth, but what I can take credit for is acknowledging them, acknowledging that they have stood the test of time, and acknowledging that today they are more important than probably any other period of time in history. So folks, here are the 6 laws of wealth. And this is the Vault software. The Vault software has AI built into it. So what Craig actually did this morning, actually, Craig, why don't you just tell them how you came up with this? Because I think it's kind of cool.
Well, I figured, Chris, that since we're talking about the 6 laws of wealth, I better have them pulled up. I'm like, where do we have them written down? And so I went into the Vault, and we have, Chris AI, which we're constantly consuming your videos, your books, all the content you're putting out. And I just said, hey, Chris AI, what are the 6 laws of wealth? And voila, here they are.
Pay yourself first. That's a good first law.
But you know what's fun, Chris, is I went down to this more information because I want to see what videos, and you've talked about this a lot. And I can go plug right into these different videos. There's a video, there's one, there's one, there's one. So you've talked about these 6 laws of wealth many times, but we're going to cover it because it's so important today, but here they are.
Yeah, I love that. And AI is a pretty incredible thing, but this AI, that's in the Vault was trained and built with guardrails effectively. We didn't let Chris AI go out there and start just, finding all of its data on the internet, because that's what hallucinations come from. So we trained this AI to basically give just the relevant information as it relates to wealth, personal finance, anything money, and then most specifically the infinite banking concepts, which, these 6 laws of wealth. And I just wanted him to put them up there, but if you've got a pen and paper or somewhere to type these down, these are really important to write down. And like I said, I said it a bit ago, and I got a bunch of little notes here that I always want to do. The path to wealth is simple. It's not easy. It's simple, and it's available to everybody who is willing to be disciplined, consistent, and deliberate. And this is being deliberate. You can see it on the screen. Law number 1, pay yourself first. Law number 2, make your money work for you. And we're going to go through all these, but law number 3, protect your wealth. Law number 4, don't seek unrealistic returns. Law number 5, solve other people's problems and give generously. And law number 6, create a legacy. You should write all these down. Take a screenshot of this. And if you don't have the Vault, maybe you should check it out by going to byobvault.com. But let's kind of get into this because I want to unpack these, but I want to do it in a really unique way. And I was sitting here today, this morning after WTF, thinking, how do I really articulate these 6 laws in a way that every one of you can apply these laws, and in a way that it all ties back to the infinite banking concept? And I got thinking about it. This right here behind me is Will Rogers. And Will Rogers, I quote him all the time. He said something pretty powerful. He said, the problem in America isn't so much what people don't know. He went on to say, the biggest problem is what people think they know that just ain't so. And that really is the truth, is it not? We get ourselves into a lot of trouble because we think we know what we don't know, or we get bad advice from other people. And I will tell you, I'll be the first to tell you, I probably would say over 90% of what you've learned about money is a lie. It is not benefiting you. It is benefiting somebody else, benefiting the financial industry, benefiting the bank. It does not benefit you, but you've been taught to do the same thing. Your elders have taught you this knowledge and passed it down, but very little of the truth when it comes to money has been passed down. So we're going to get back to that truth. And I did a neat thing. Earl Nightingale is somebody that I follow all the time. And Earl Nightingale did a whole passage on this. And I thought it was one of his best. Outside of the strangest secrets in the world, he did the rules of prosperity is what he called this. And I believe that's what he called it, the rules of prosperity. And he said, if you follow principles, if you follow these 7 principles, you can and will become wealthy. Now remember, Earl Nightingale, let's just call the era 1950 to 1970s, give or take. Okay, I'm off a little there. But he did this well before I ever started talking. I wasn't even born. You know, I wasn't talking about the 6 laws of wealth. Maybe the richest man in Babylon was around. Maybe these are where these came from. But let me just preface what he said the 7 principles are. And I think you can kind of see how long these principles have been in effect. He said, number 1, pay yourself first. He said, number 2, spend less than you make. Number 3, understand the power of compound interest and make it work for you and stay consistent. He said, number 4, guard your earnings power. It's your greatest asset. Number 5, avoid debt that isn't making you money. Number 6, track every dollar and know where your money goes. How many of you know exactly where your money goes? When you create your own private banking system, I assure you, you will know where every dollar goes because almost every dollar will come back to your private banking system. That's a key differential between you and all the other people you surround yourself with. They're writing checks to someone else's bank while you're writing checks to your bank. And number 7, and this is interesting, number 7, he said, give generously, but build your foundation first and give from wisdom. I thought these were really good. And he went on to say this thing, and I just want to give this to you before we get into the 6 laws and kind of just tie them back to the infinite banking concept. He said, belief, and I truly believe this, belief is a choice. Your mind will accept what it's told. How many of you agree with that? How many of you agree with that statement right there? Belief is a choice. You get to choose whether you believe in something or not. You get to choose whether you believe in infinite banking. You get to choose whether you believe in anything in life. But your mind accepts what it's told. So if you start telling your mind that you're broke, if you start going around looking at cars and being like, I can't afford that, guess what you're telling your mind? You're making a choice. You're believing you can't afford that car. You're believing that you will never be able to afford that car. That's a scarcity mindset. We need to flip that switch. And boy, oh boy, do I know that's tough. My wife catches me all the time. We'll be home and I'll just be like, why, what's in that box? How much did that cost? How many of you do that, right? Boxes show up. I mean, listen, since COVID, we entered this new realm where now every day is a guess of what's in that box, right? But now it's kind of old news, right? You can't really get away with it. In the beginning, you could, oh, wow, what just came in the mail? Because when I grew up, when a box came in, that shit was good. That meant something either was a gift or something I ordered 6 weeks ago finally showed up. Like, you remember that? Like, we got really excited for boxes. Now, boxes are kind of just a pain in the butt. You already know it's cat litter in the box, or it's cat food in the box. It's paper towels in the box. And then you got to unwrap it, and you got to put it all away, and you got to fold the box up. It's just not what it used to be. But what I'm trying to explain is the belief you have in your life is your choice. So you better be believing in the right things. That's why I think the 6 laws of wealth are so important to understand, because you need to believe in laws. Because if you don't believe in laws, test it out. Just do me a favor. I want you to test one law. This is super fun. Some of you, maybe you're on ground floor, but go up to the 2nd floor of your building or your house. Go onto the 2nd floor. Open the window. And now what I want you to do is I want you to jump. You're going to learn what's called the law of gravity. You don't want to do that? Yeah, no, fear gets in the way. Fear isn't real. But in this case, it very well may be. But you do understand that, like, if you jump out of a moving object, or you jump out of a tree, or you jump out of your window, you're going to hit the ground. It's called gravity. You cannot beat it. You cannot change it. So the laws of wealth are identical. If you apply the laws and you understand the laws, the outcome is absolute. Back to that. Belief is a choice. Your mind accepts what you believe. Then, after you accept what you believe, then you attract more of it. I'll never understand that. The law of attraction, you've heard of it, but you attract more of it. That which you imagine, you attract. So when you believe in success, when you believe you can be out of debt, when you can believe you can get all the money back for every car you buy, drive, and own, when you believe in the things that you are taught or the things that you put in your mind, you attract more of them. And I am living proof of this, and I know many of you are living proof of this. But listen, it doesn't even matter if you're broke, if you were betrayed, if someone stole from you. It just doesn't matter, because if you woke up every single day of your life and you said everything is working exactly how it's supposed to, guess what would happen? Every day you woke up and you literally rolled out of bed and you said everything is working exactly how it's supposed to. And throughout your day, no matter what happened, you were just like, everything's working exactly how it's supposed to. And that doesn't matter if somebody rear-ended you, everything's working exactly how it's supposed to. Now, I know in your mind you're thinking, that son of a bitch was tailing me too close. He should have saw my brake lights. Everything that happens to me happens for a reason. So when you start to say that, guess what happens? Everything in your life starts to work exactly how it's supposed to. Listen, I know this isn't supposed to be about mindset. This is supposed to be about money, but money is mindset. Mindset is money. I always tell my team all the time, I always tell them, I say, listen, we can fix just about any financial problem. Somebody's in debt, we got you. Somebody's living paycheck to paycheck, chances are we can probably fix that too. Somebody is going through a divorce and they're getting taken for everything, no problem, we'll build it again. We'll show you how to do that. Like, we can pretty much solve any money problem. And now we can do it mathematically with the most efficient mathematical success using the Vault software. But the thing is, if you don't believe it can be fixed, if you don't believe this is what's supposed to happen, then none of it's pointless. We can't fix a broken mindset. And I'll give you a really good example. Let's get right into the first law of wealth. Pay yourself first. Pay yourself first. I know you've all heard this one, but you understand this. See, knowledge is not the power. It's the application of the knowledge that's the real power. So now, when I say that, law number one, great, you know, it's just like gravity. If you jump out of that window, you're going to get hurt. Pay yourself first. Pay yourself first before you pay anybody else. How difficult is that? Like, literally, like, think about that in your daily life. How difficult is it for you to have an income that comes in, and instead of paying your bills or buying groceries or everything else, the very first thing you do, you pull out your checkbook and you write yourself a check. You are the first person that got paid. You know, the first thing that you do is you lock in who's the most important, who's the golden goose, that's you. But it is against everything you've been taught, is it not? You get paid, you pay everybody first, and you keep what's left in the account, which how much is left in the account in most people's checking account at the end of the month? Pretty close to nothing. It's a zero-sum game. I don't know why, but checking accounts are like the black hole. So pay yourself first is the single most important thing, but let's quantify that. You are an asset, folks. You are the single greatest asset in your life. You are the golden goose. You are the one who lays the golden egg. Without you, nothing else happens. I want to be clear about that. And I also want you to understand that liquidity is a superpower, especially during a downward market or a recessionary period, because if you are not liquid, you cannot take advantage of opportunities. But if you are liquid, you have all the opportunities right in front of you, and you literally just get to do like Peter at Family Guy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. You just pick up, Jolly Ranchers and pieces of candy. But when you pay yourself first, let's set some guidelines. 10%. Okay, write that down. You must start paying yourself 10%. So every week, bi-weekly, monthly, however you get paid, when you get your check, and a lot of it, this is direct deposited, I want you to practice this. Because like I said, you got to apply this stuff, folks. Like, I can tell you this till I'm blue in the face, but if you do not apply this, it doesn't mean anything. I wasted my time if you don't apply this. And we're going to go faster as we get through these laws. I just want to be crystal clear that you're going to apply this stuff. Otherwise, it's not going to change your life. You get paid. Someone gives you a check. Someone gives you cash. You get money that gets deposited in your account. Here's what you do next. In your mind or on a calculator, you figure out what 10% of that is. And what I want you to do is I want you to take that 10% and I want you to move it to another account. I don't care what it is. Go to your bank and open up a separate checking account. Go online and open up one of those high-yield savings accounts, and every time you get a paycheck, that's what you're going to do. You're going to transfer 10%. Here's the thing. I'll bet you I'll bet you less than 5% of the people on this webinar do that. But the 5% that do that will then solidify the age-old, like, kind of anomaly that why is it that out of the entire population, only 5% are financially successful? Social Security Administration shows that. Only 5%. It's because only 5% actually apply what they learn. So that's the first law. In the parable, I love this one. Shauna gave me this. She said there's a parable. The farmer who ate his seed every harvest begins with setting aside seed for the next season. You don't eat it all, you invest in tomorrow. Okay? So that's a pretty important one. Now, here's what I want to ask all of you right now, and I want you to comment this. I want to ask you, how much of your income are you currently saving every single month? How much of your income are you saving? Now, you don't have to tell me how much. A, 0%. B, less than 10%. C, 10 to 20%. Or D, more than 20%. There's a lot of people not saving money right now. Things are a little tough out there. Anyone paying attention? Price of things just keeps going up. Oil's going up. Like everything, it's tough. It's tough to save. But I'm trying to think of the saying, but if you don't save when you're broke, you won't save when you're wealthy. In other words, if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're like, there's no way I can save any money. There's no way I can save any money. I'm going to call your bluff. Pay yourself first. Take whatever it is you make and move 10% over, and you watch yourself. You will figure out how to make ends meet without that 10%. I don't know why, but it will happen. Try it. I know you don't believe me, but just try it. Try it for a month. Even if you're broke, living paycheck to paycheck, still apply this law. All right, let's go on to the second law. Make your money work for you. How do you make your money work for you? It's quite simple. You have not really been shown throughout your life how to make your money work for you. You've only been taught how to go out and work for money. You go out, you trade an hour of your time. And every one of you, everybody's going to be different, has a specific dollar amount you feel your hour is worth. Some of you are $20, $50, $100, $1,000, $10,000 an hour, whatever it is, that's your quantifiable worth that you've given yourself. And some of you are like, I didn't give myself that worth, my employer did. Okay, so now recalibrate that and give yourself the worth that it is and treat yourself that way. Now, you can't become wealthy trading time for money because you've only got 24 hours in every single day and 7 days in every week. That's it. We all have that limit. We have no more time. We all are operating under the same, time clock, if you will. So in order to really get ahead, you have to apply this law. Make your money work for you. So let me kind of get into some IBC stuff. If you look at this board, when we talk about what is the infinite banking concepts, a lot of people want to call it a product. It is not a product, and I want to clarify that. The infinite banking concepts is not a product. It is a process. It is a concept, okay? More of a process now than a concept because concepts have to be proved. This has been proved time and time and time again. So it's a process. It does involve a product, but I'll explain the product is nothing more than a means of running your money through it for efficiency. And I'll talk about that in a second. But the infinite banking concept gives you control of your money, gives you certainty of your money, gives you liquidity of your money, and gives you efficiency of your money. All of those things, control, certainty, liquidity, and efficiency, all play into this law right here. Make your money work for you. But we have to first apply the first law because you have an income that comes in. Most of you, when you get an income, you spend some of that money on just daily living, food, going out to dinner, and all these things. That money's gone forever. And then some of you, just based on what we just showed, save money. Okay? But we need to make this a priority because this is the first law of wealth right here. So remember, pay yourself first, pay everybody else after. Now, when you save money, where are you saving money? Can anyone answer that? Where are you saving money? How many of you have a high yield savings account earning 3% or more? Put I in the chat. How many of you have a 401k? Okay. How many of you have some type of a retirement account? How many of you have a brokerage account that you put money into? See, these are all places where you're saving money. And yes, your money is kind of working for you in those places, but what are you giving up to have your money work for you in those? Can you access that money and have it still work for you? In other words, where you're saving your money, can you put your money into that account, the high yield savings, the CD, the brokerage, the 401k, and then take the money out of that account and use it for something else, like buying a car, but not diminish the earning potential, not lose the opportunity, the opportunity of earning money on that. Does anyone have a place where you put money and you never lose the opportunity to make more on that money, no matter whether you use it or not? But wouldn't that make more sense? Like, just imagine you had a bank account. You went into your bank account, you took your savings, you put your savings into that account, and then all of a sudden, a day later, it's Murphy's Law, something happens. Like, you get an opportunity to do something or buy something that's a tremendous value. You take the money out of that account and you go buy that item, or you invest in that thing. That money, if this is $100, like let's just say you had it in the account, it was earning 4%. You take it out of the account, it stops earning, and now it's over here in this other thing, which hopefully earns or makes something more. But imagine if the original place where you put your money continued earning, even when you took the money out and you put it to this other thing. So you're making money twice on the same dollar. That would be pretty cool. But that is exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about make your money work for you. We have to find a way to have our money work for us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without losing any opportunity, without losing any liquidity, without losing any certainty, without losing any control, and have it be the most efficient possible way. Okay? Those are the key rules of this second law. Money never sleeps, so why should yours? Remember that movie? Money never sleeps. What was that movie? Who could call that out? Anyone says Michael Douglas, Wall Street? You're right. Wall Street. Money never sleeps. Okay? So let's go on to the third law of wealth. If you're not first, you're last. I want to repeat that. If you're not first, you're last. What movie is that from? This is not a movie quiz day, but if you're not first, you're last. It's Talladega Nights. But really what the third law of wealth is, protect your wealth. Where your money is it protected? If you're putting money in a high yield savings account, is that money protected if somebody sues you? No, that's low-hanging fruit. Okay? If your money's in a brokerage account and something happens and the stock goes down, is that money protected? No. Okay? So you have to think about this. Protect your money. Protect your wealth. And here's the easiest way to do it. Invest in things you know, things you like, and things you understand. Know, like, understand. So I just had this huge debate, okay, with a good friend of mine, Caleb. He's also in the infinite banking space. And I'm going to tell the story because this just happened last night. We did a podcast, and we got in a pretty fun debate. It wasn't a bad one. It was just a fun debate. Two different mindsets around how the infinite banking concepts work. And we got on the topic of cars. Now, how many of you think a car is a good investment? Arguably, it'd be the opposite of that, right? It'd be probably the worst investment. So Warren said, okay, could be. All right, but for the most part, it depends, I think is a good answer, but really no way. But I got into the discussion with Caleb, and I said, you know what? The way I buy cars, using my own banking system, I get all the money back for the car. So it doesn't matter if the car depreciates in value, I get all the money back. So even if I don't keep the car for a long period of time, like I had a G-Wagon that I recently sold at a loss. I bought it for like $170, sold it for $130, but I still made $33,000. I'll put, actually, Craig, could you put that video up for me? So I created a whole YouTube video around this. I made I think it was 33 grand on that G-Wagon. I drove it for 2 years, lots of miles, and I sold it at a loss. So how the hell did I make money? Well, it's because the way I bought it. The system I used, the process I used, which was the infinite banking concept. So the whole argument with Caleb came down to this right here, protect your wealth. His argument was, instead of buying a car, Chris, with your policy, what if you financed the car? Like you got a loan from a bank for the car. And let's just keep things the same. Let's say you could get a loan on the car for 4%, and let's say you could borrow from your policy at 4%. Let's use 5% because that's more realistic. 5 and 5. I can go to the bank and I can finance the car at 5%, or I can finance the car and pay the insurance company the 5% on the policy loan, which I'm going to explain the policy loan in a second, okay? But you would think that those are equal, right? So me and Caleb went through this whole thing, and there's going to be a part 2 of this video where he was literally telling me there's no way you will have more money than I would doing it my way. And his way was you take the money that you would normally give to your policy, but you pay it to the bank. You take the difference and you put it back into, I think he did paid up additions to the policy, but let's just say you invested that money. I said to him, I said, I don't think investing right now is worth it because the risks. So I was basically saying, I will take the safe road. I will buy the car, finance the car with my policy, pay myself back the exact same interest rate I would pay a traditional bank, which I use 6%. So if I was going to pay the bank 6%, I'll pay myself back at 6%. Now, if I can, let's just talk banking here for a real quick second. In banking, how do banks make money? Well, any of you that have a high yield savings account, let's just say your high yield savings was paying you 5%, okay? The bank does not lend you money at anything less than 5%, do they? No. So if you want to borrow money from the bank, they're going to charge you probably 6%. So remember, they're paying you 5 and they're charging you 6. How is the bank making money? The spread, the arbitrage between that. It's a 1% arbitrage, 5 to 6. When we create our banking system, we just reverse that. And that's what I was explaining to Caleb. I said, listen, if I can borrow money from the insurance company, keep my money in the policy, earning interest and dividends uninterrupted. So now I'm making money on all of the money that I paid for the car because it never left my account. I borrowed the money from the insurance company. They gave me part of my death benefit, and that is lent to me, let's just hypothetically say at 5%. And then the bank, the traditional bank, would have charged me 6% if I would have financed the car. So I just do a note and I pay myself back, my policy back at 6%. I made the spread, did I not? The insurance company was charging me 5%. I was paying back 6% because that's what the bank would have charged me. So why would I cheat myself? I made a 1% spread. I made money. But you see, I didn't just make 1%. I made 1% plus the interest and dividends I earned on all of my cash value. So what I'm trying to explain to you is during that debate, and that debate has now been covered by, I think, 2 other IBC practitioners who have gone in and run the math. Thank goodness, like the one guy that did it last night, I won. I guess there was no winners, but he said, yep, Chris was right. He paid less, than that. But they all missed the boat because they're like, wait. You guys are just looking at the financing. You're not even looking at how much money I made in my policy. Like, it's not just that I saved $600 in financing the car with my policy. It's that I made all the interest and dividends on every dollar. I never lost anything. And that's how I made money on that G-Wagon. So anyway, this all comes back to this law right here. Protect your wealth. How does that story mean protect your wealth? I didn't even invest, but I did something that I know, like, and understand. I understand banking. I understand cars. So I did something I know, like, and understand that had no risk, where I was up against somebody that wanted to take risk. I just didn't want to. So protecting your wealth is just understanding that. And right now, in a recession or a period of time before a recession, this is the most important thing because timing's everything right now. And those who are prepared and those who prepare early, like right now, I would even have said, a year ago, but since that's gone, we can't get that time back. Now is a good time to start. You can buy low, you can move fast, and you can move with efficiency. That's because you have learned these laws, all right? This strategy right here of protecting your wealth, see, building wealth is the easy part. Protecting it's the hard part. I always say this, and I'll say this again right now. A financial advisor's job is not to make you money. I know we all think that that's what their job is. Oh, I have a financial advisor. His job is to make me money. Bullshit. The financial advisor, by training, by everything else, their job is to protect your money, to show you the proper way to make sure you don't give the money back. I think a lot of them have forgotten what they do. I talk to the guys over at PMC Wealth all the time, Stefan and Brandon, and I tell them, I said, the most important job any financial advisor like you guys has is to protect wealth. Make sure that when someone makes money in a good economy or a good investment, they don't give it back. But so many people, they make money and then they give it back. They make money and then they give it back. That was my whole story until I learned about the infinite banking concept. I would make money and then I would end up losing it all because I'd invest into the wrong thing that I didn't understand. I remember I invested in some real estate deals that I had no idea what that type of real estate was, and I lost my ass. Crypto, a lot of people invested in crypto. They had no idea. How about Doge? You guys remember Doge? It's still around, right? They actually had NASCARs with, was it like a dog on it or something like that? Doge, the crypto coin or whatever that thing was. Like, how'd that work out? That was all the rage. You remember that? And people plowed money into it. Nobody even knew what Doge did. They didn't know anything about the company. They didn't know anything about what they were investing in. So they were not protecting their wealth. They were just investing in something that they had no idea what they were investing in. And what happened? I mean, what was the outcome? Can anyone tell me? You guys can look it up. Shiba Inu. Oh, that's the dog one. Thank you. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Shiba Inu was the dog one. Doge was what? I don't know. They had a NASCAR. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Katina's like, I got it. All right, great. Let's pause on the third law. I want to come over here. The infinite banking concept. You make an income. You're going to pay yourself first, which means you're going to save. Even if you can't or don't think you can, you're going to tell yourself you can. You're going to wake up every morning. You're going to say everything is happening exactly how it's supposed to. I paid myself first. Then what you're going to do is you're going to look at all the different things that you do in your life. Where do you spend money? You spend money on things and you save money, you buy cars. But here's the thing. I'm going to propose a change. Because remember I said there is a product involved and I'm going to explain that product. But if you're ever looking at buying something, a product, you would want to make sure that the value of that product was there for you in your life, that that product solved the problem for you, right? We don't buy things just with no intent. We buy things because they solve a problem. So let me just talk about some of the problems that I think this product would solve for you. One of the problems is in your bank account, how much interest are you getting? Put it over in the chat. How much interest are you getting on your money in your bank account? And Craig, can you save Warren's comment there about the Caleb argument? And we'll come back to that. I just abbreviated that whole podcast, Warren. I wasn't trying to go deep into it. But we'll do a second on that. Fidelity. Okay, so she's getting 5% in Fidelity. But Catherine, if Jerome Powell or whoever the Fed chair is, if they drop interest rates tomorrow, do you think you'll maintain 5% at Fidelity? You won't. It'll have to go down. It follows the prime. But anyway, 5% is a great rate. So here's the thing. If I was telling you that there's a better product for you to change where your savings goes, I'd have to quantify that. So what if you could earn a higher guaranteed interest rate, okay? And what if that interest rate never changed? So in other words, what if you could lock in 3.25% on your money, but that 3.25 was guaranteed to never change for the rest of your life? That'd be maybe better than some of you, maybe not better than a few that were at 4 or 5, but that's still better than most of you, okay? There you go. Katina said, I'd take that, 3.25. So, all right. So we've done a little better on the guaranteed interest rate, and we've done a lot better on locking it in for the rest of your life. But number 2, let's say you get a dividend. You changed where your savings went first, and this new place pays you a dividend. And if we take that guaranteed interest rate plus the dividend, let's say you earned 6%, hypothetically. I'm just using hypothetical numbers. Today, the dividend crediting rate for these products is 5.9 to 6.6%, just to be clear. Okay, but we're gonna go right in the middle and use 6%. Just want to make sure I cover that for compliance. That 6 is not the rate. Okay, it's 5.9 to 6.6 depending on the company. But if you could earn 6% dividend crediting rate on your money, would that be better than what you're earning on your money today? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, but it'd be better than what you're probably earning on your bank account money because 5% was the highest. All right, next. What if that dividend crediting rate, that interest in dividends you earned, was tax-free? That's a differentiator. Now the game just changed. So now we're earning interest and dividends in a tax-free environment. So now that Fidelity bank account or that Fidelity money market, I would guess, is paying 5%. If she factored out the taxes on that, depending on her tax rate and that, it wouldn't be that she made 5%. She probably made 4, maybe 3.8, okay, whatever the tax rate is. But in a tax-free account, if you earn 6, you earn 6. Because you don't have to dilute that for taxes. So a tax-free account would definitely be good, right? Now I think all of you would love it if your bank account, your high yield savings account, or your Fidelity money market account, you'd love it if they were tax-free. But what if it was also protected against judgments and liens? And what if it was private? And I'll just kind of go through them. You had protections on that money. So in most states, not all, but most states, it was protected from judgments and liens. So if you get sued, they can't touch this money. Like go back and look at the case study on O.J. Simpson. Like not calling out a name there, but like he had all of his money in life insurance, and he's still a multimillionaire, or was at the time of passing. Okay, private. Nobody can see it. You don't have to report it. Nobody even knows that you have the money there. Nobody but your family, maybe the insurance company. You have control of that money. You have efficiency. You have certainty. No volatility. It's not volatile. It doesn't go up and down. It only does one thing. It goes up. And I'm going to show that to you when we get into the vault. No restrictions and death benefit. And also, if you're living and you get sick with a critical illness or a chronic illness, you can tap into that death benefit. So like all those things, I know I went fast, but aren't those better than what you currently have with your bank account? Aren't those better than what you have with your money market account? I'm not comparing this to the stock market or your real estate or your crypto investments, because it's not this asset or that asset, it's this and that. I'll give plug to Caleb's book, The And Asset. So when you're thinking about it, it's this is the only thing we're comparing this place to, this product to, is the place where your money originates, which most of you is a bank account. So this thing that I just mentioned, all those features are all a whole life insurance policy, okay? But not just a normal whole life. These are specially designed and engineered. These are customized to give you high early cash value. And also, they're from a dividend-paying, mutually owned life insurance company. And all of the companies have been around for over 140 years that we deal with. Some of them as long as 160 plus years. So they've been around a long time, tried and tested. You know that dividend that I mentioned? It is not guaranteed, but they have never, ever not paid it. So I think we can all argue, or all agree, that that's probably a better place to put your money than where you're putting it today, at least for that savings component. You're not going to put all your money, just the amount you save, okay? Let's keep going here. The infinite banking concept is not the product. I said that. It's a process. So let me explain the process. Over on this side is our opportunity zone. Now let's just pick on one thing. Let's just say one of you has a Visa card. You owe $10,000 on the Visa because you just took a really nice vacation. Visa is charging you 20%, and you are trying like hell to pay that Visa off, and you're putting $500 a month toward that Visa. Okay? Everybody's got the math. $500 a month is $6K a year. That's your problem over here. You went on a nice vacation to Disneyland with the kids. It cost you 10 grand on the credit card, and you don't like that debt. Okay? So what we're now going to do is over here, we have our savings changed. We changed one thing, and now our savings is in this specially designed high cash value whole life insurance policy. Now, we're just going to assume, and I'm just going to make some numbers, that you have saved $15,000. The number is irrelevant. I'm just using an example. You've saved $15,000 in cash value over the course of years. You've got this $10,000 Visa. So what we're going to do, we're going to come over here, and we are going to go to the insurance company. You're going to go log online, and we're going to take $10,000 out. But we're not going to take a withdrawal. We're going to take a loan. We're going to go to the insurance company, and there's a provision in your contract that allows for this, and we're going to tell the insurance company we would like to take a loan from the insurance company's general account. The insurance company will approve that, just like this. They will ask you 4 questions. 2 of the questions are, how much would you like and where would you like that money sent? One is this part of a divorce decree? And Craig, do you remember what the 4th question is? Divorce decree, how much, where you want the money sent?
And some states are common law states, so you have to have special signatures.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you're a common law state, you have to have your spouse sign the loan form as well. So those are your 4 questions. So you go in and you say, hey, insurance company, I want to take $10,000 from your general account. Oh, an insurance company, I have $15,000 in the account, so I can collateralize that $10,000 loan. This is kind of like a HELOC, right? Like your house collateralizes the line of credit that the bank gives you. This is kind of the same thing. But what the insurance company is actually doing is the insurance company is saying, sure, we will take 10 of the 15 to collateralize this $10,000 loan. But what we're going to do is we're going to give you a loan that really never needs to be paid back, because we're just going to advance you $10,000 of the death benefit proceeds that we've had set aside for you for all these years that you've had this policy. You see, Mr. or Mrs. Client, as an insurance company, we actually have to have the money in our general account to pay these death benefits out. Unlike a bank where they have to have 10% maybe in tier 1 assets to cover your full account balance, and then we got to lean back on FDIC, the insurance companies actually have to have the money in their general account. So the insurance company's like, sure, we'll just give you 10 grand of your death benefit early. Okay, so that's what they do. And they charge interest on that, okay? So let's just hypothetically say that the interest rate is 5%. Now, the insurance companies we work with, we have one that is under 5, and we have one that is they're just dropping at 6.25%. That's the range in the interest rate. So if it's okay, I'm just going to use 5% for simple math here. This is just an example. Okay, so 5% simple interest on that $10,000 loan. So that means, if I did this right, that's $500 a year, right, Craig? You're good at math there. Just doing it on the fly. $10,000, 5%, 500. No, that wouldn't be. Yeah, that'd be $500 a year. Got it.
Yes.
Okay, so that's how much you're going to pay if you don't pay the loan back in the course of years, $500. Now, here's what's going to happen. This is the infinite banking concept. The $10,000 is going to come over here, and we are going to use that to pay off Visa. Visa is now paid off using a loan from your policy. Now, for the simple sake of learning the infinite banking concept, your policy, we're going to rename it your private banking system. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it Miller Financial Banking System. You could call it the Miller Family Bank. Whatever you want to call it, it's your private banking system. The $10,000 loan you took from your private banking system is used to pay off the Visa. This is the biggest thing missed in the infinite banking concept. This is the number one reason Craig and I went out and we spent lots of money and time creating the Vault software to run this, because a lot of people miss this step. They do what I just said. A lot of people do that. They borrow the money from their policy, they pay off the debt, or they finance their investment, or they do something, and then they stop there. That's not where you stop. See here, if you're the bank and you pay off their bank, and you used to pay their bank $500 a month, why in the world would we not pay $500 a month back to our bank? So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to change the name on the check. We used to write a check to Visa every single month for $500. We're now going to write a check to ourselves for $500. It's going to go into your bank account. And now this is that segregated bank account, because we need something in the middle for the money to clear, for books and records. Everybody tracking? Now, the $500 comes into the segregated account. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move that $500 up to the policy. We're literally just going to fill out a one-page form. We'll do this for you if you're one of our clients. We'll fill the loan repayment form out for $500. And if this $500 is going to hit this segregated account on the 1st of the month, let's sweep it out on the 15th. Fair enough? 15th of every month, $500 is going to move from the bank account into the policy. How much money do you have in your policy the next day when that check clears? Not a trick question. You have $500, dollar for dollar. $500 went into your policy. So now your policy has an extra $500. That $500, remember, is not new money you had to work for. This is your money working for you, because now this is money that you used to give away, and this is now money you're recapturing. You're building wealth through the debts and expenses you already had. Now, there's one other important thing here. Remember up here, we were paying the insurance company 5%. There's a lot of people that just can't get over this 5% thing. They're like, why would I pay to use my own money? You're really not. You are, but you're not. So let me debunk that. If your policy is paying you 6% dividend crediting rate, let's say your internal rate of return is, I don't know, 4 or 5%, but let's just use the 6. If you're earning 6 on your money gross, okay, and you're paying 5, you're doing okay because your money's all earning. Every penny of your dollars are earning something. Internal rate of return, however you want to factor that return that you're getting, which there's multiple ways to do that. But now what you're doing is you are paying $500 every single month back to the policy. So in 1 year, $6,000 would have been put back into the policy. That was money you used to give away to Visa, money you took back and you now control. But now that $6,000 repaid the loan. So now how much money do you owe the insurance company? You owe the insurance company $4,000. So this is year 2, okay? First year you did better. You used to be okay paying Visa 20, now you're paying the insurance company 5. You made a 15% spread, not too bad. But you didn't, because now in the second year, $4,000 times 5% is $200 a month. Is that right? Or $200 a year? Sorry, not a month, a year. Okay? $200 a year is a lot better than the $500 a year you were paying before. So is your APR really 5% or is it lower? Well, it's lower. So by just simply following this process, you are paying down the loan simultaneously while taking back control of your money. Now, I just did debt there, and hopefully you guys all understood that. We'll get into that in a second. But I'm trying to show you how you can protect your wealth, how you can have your money work for you, and how you can find somewhere for that 10%, paying yourself first, to go, and it can go here. Now, I just did debt there, but let's just say you invested that money. Let's say you used it in your business to finance marketing or computers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. This is excellent. I just want to make a quick reminder. We're getting to the top of the hour, and I know we sometimes have people that have to hop off and get back to work and things like that. So I just wanted to mention real quickly that we're teaching you this infinite banking concept, and it's the process. But Chris did talk about that specially designed whole life policy. And if anybody's new on here, I just want you to understand that that is what we do as a company. We are a licensed insurance agency. So our money mentors, who are all Nelson Nash certified, they are on standby, ready to help talk with you about your situation and create the perfect life insurance policy that's going to work for you. So I just want to let you guys know. So over in the chat box, I'm going to put a scheduling link if you want to schedule a call to talk through your specific question in case you got to jump off early right now or anything like that. I just wanted to get that to you. Or if you just do that host and panelist only and chat me your phone number, I'll actually have a mentor reach out to you here today so they can talk with you about that. But Chris, I just know sometimes people are like, oh, well, I want to do this. I love this. I need this. But where do I go to make it happen? Understand, not only do we teach you, support you, and solve your money problem with you, but we actually do provide you the policy as well through our agency. So
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
for that, Chris. Yes.
No, that's okay. And I think it's really important to know that, one of the big things with all of our companies as a culture that we fully and firmly believe in is that we don't want you to talk to a computer. We want you to talk to a human being. Okay, because a human being has empathy, they care. Machines do not. Okay, they just do what they're programmed to do. Humans care, they have empathy. So we want, if any of you need help, any of you want to kind of get started with this, want to talk about your situation, then just give us your phone number over in the chat or in the Q&A, and we'll reach out to you and we'll set up a call. And on that call, I'll make one promise. We're not going to try to sell you anything. On that call, we're going to solve your problem. If we can solve your problem, we don't have to sell anything. You will ask us to help you solve that problem. So the infinite banking concept solves lots and lots and lots of problems. We're just going over a couple of them here in this whole exercise of the 6 laws of wealth, to which we ended the 6 laws of wealth on the third one, which is protecting your wealth. I think we've succeeded here. We are protecting your wealth by putting it into a protected, guaranteed vehicle, being the whole life policy. Okay. We also are making your money work for you, because no matter what, like I said, if you had 15,000 in the whole life and you took 10,000 out, how much money is still in the whole life earning interest and dividends? 15. Even though you took the 10 wasn't yours. The 10 was the insurance company giving you money from their general account, money they set aside to pay your death benefit. And they literally just subtract that loan from your death benefit. So if you die the next day, the insurance company is going to adjust the death benefit down by the amount of the outstanding loan. So that's how they do it. It's pretty simple, but it's pretty brilliant. So that's all we're telling you now, is now you found a way to solve those first 3 laws of wealth. But let's keep going, and then I got some things I want to have Craig show you. The 4th law of wealth, which I don't think is being misused right now too badly, but it was for a long time, and that is, wealth will flee its owner if the owner chases unrealistic returns. In other words, if you chase hot tips, if you're always chasing the hottest investment, if you're always going on looking at what ETF or what mutual fund is performing the best, or you're just listening to your Uber driver or your whatever driver, cab driver, and they're telling you, oh, you should invest in this stock, and then you just go and do it, like that's what you're doing. Your money will flee you. And I think the easiest way to look at this is people that try to time the market. How does that work out? Not so well. People that are following TikTok gurus on the latest and greatest Doge or Shiba Inu investment, how's that working out? Probably not so well. That's how people lose wealth. That's how they go through this cycle of making it and losing it. And listen, how do I know this? Because I have violated this 4th law more times than probably any of you have. I have made this mistake enough times to be able to tell the story, to teach this law, and to tell you that this absolutely is one that most people miss. And they miss it not because they're stupid or because they weren't educated. They miss it because of FOMO. They have a fear of missing out on some fictitious return. It's a gambler instinct that's in all of us, okay? So don't do that. The mini story was the day I almost bought Dogecoin. Yeah, and didn't, thank God. The 5th one, I think, is one of the most important ones. The 5th one is simple. It's just solve problems. If you go out there and you solve somebody else's problem, your problem will be solved. If your problem is you need to make more money because you're living paycheck to paycheck, things are tough, bills keep coming in, things keep happening, great. You want a solution to that? Find somebody else's problem to solve and go solve it. And solving problems is actually a very simple thing. There's a lot of shows that talk about this. They take a billionaire and they put him in regular street clothes. They send him out. I can't remember what that show was, but it's like this undercover thing. They send him out and they say, okay, we're going to give you whatever it is, $1,000, $100, and you have to survive for a month. And these people, most of them, these billionaires, they go out there with nothing and they come back making like $1 million. Well, it's because they understood this right here. They understood that all they needed to do was go out, find a problem that they knew how to solve, and solve it for somebody else. So this is single-handedly what every business in the world does, at least successful business. If a business starts with the sole goal of solving somebody's problem, that business will continue to flourish as long as it stays focused on that problem. The Ritz-Carlton has always been focused on solving the customer service problem with the new gold standard. And why has the Ritz-Carlton, for all these years, been one of the #1 hotel chains that people desire to go to? Because they stayed focused on solving the customer's problem. And every company does that. Our company as well. All of our companies solve a problem. So you want money, you want something, solve the problem, and wealth will find you. And a couple things here, bringing this back to a recessionary period. In a recessionary period, a lot of people have fear. Lots of fear. And I keep talking about recession, not because I'm trying to will it in, because thoughts are things, but because I'm trying to prepare you that now would be the time to start getting ready. Whether or not you believe there's a recession coming or not, the facts are the facts and the data is the data. The opportunity is the problem. So the opportunity is the problem you need to solve. So that's how you're going to do it. You're not going to try to solve your problem. You're going to solve somebody else's. And the 6th law of wealth is, I think, the most important one. It's your legacy. What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to be remembered for? I promise you, there's probably no one on their deathbed that's like, oh my gosh, I hope everybody remembers me for that car I had. Oh my gosh, I hope everybody remembers me for that Rolex collection I had. No, they want people to remember you, okay, or they would want people to remember them through the memories, through the good they did, through the things that they did in their life, the lessons they passed down. Listen, every one of you probably has a similar story, but you probably have a teacher that you remember by first name. Mine is Mr. Mahalski and Mr. Crawley, and there's others, but those are my 2 main ones. Mr. Mahalski was the art teacher who believed in me. I printed t-shirts after school with him. It became my first clothing line, Fat Clothing Company. He was my unconditional one at that time, aside from my mom, who believed in me. Mr. Crawley, my accounting teacher, would stay after class and after school and teach me accounting in real life while I was running my business. I remember those people because those people changed my life. Those people gave to me unconditionally, and they didn't expect anything. They created a legacy. Like their legacy, I talk about them in these videos. I talk about them in YouTube videos that get hundreds of thousands of views. Like that's the legacy. Yes, on top of that, sure, maybe you want to leave some money for your kids. That's the death benefit. Like let's automatically self-complete the legacy from the financial standpoint. The policy does that. Pays the death benefit to your family. So you don't need to worry so much about the financial aspects of your legacy. Worry about the lessons you teach. I think Bruce Lee said it best. He said, don't give your kids all the things you never had. Teach your kids the things you never learned. That's a true legacy, folks. So create your legacy, and that is the final law, and that is the 6th law. And isn't it funny how the 7th principle that Earl Nightingale said, give generously, okay? But build your foundation first. So some of the stuff that you're going to share and teach and the legacy you're going to give to people, you can't give that legacy. You can't teach others until you've gone through it yourself. So that's what I think Earl Nightingale meant when he said, give generously, but build your foundation first and give from wisdom. So with that being said, I want to kind of answer some questions, and then I want to turn it over to Craig because he's got some really cool stuff that we want to show you. But what do we got for question-wise?
So I know you wanted to go back to, Chris, you want to go back to Warren's comment?
Yeah, I'd love to. I don't know what it said. I just saw it said, Caleb, say something.
He was just making the point that Caleb's argument was that money made in the policy is there in both scenarios, whether you take a policy loan or not. So he didn't want to consider it as part of the equation. I would think that it's there for both, then to consider it for both. And it really needs to be considered because you're both dealing with it in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so to that, Warren, and listen, like I said, like it was a really friendly debate. It's a great debate. Caleb, just today, I could show you the text me and said, "Hey, let's get that second one recorded." Like, we're both friends. We're pretty close. So it wasn't like a negative thing. It was just two different opinions, two different ways of looking at it. The one gentleman, he just created a YouTube video. His name eludes me, but you know what? I'll share. How about this? I will share the video because I think it's worth all of you watching. So this is a YouTube video that was done by another IBC guy, kind of debating the debate, I guess is a way to say it. It was super good, but at the end, he basically showed if interest rates were the same, the way that I was doing it actually saved like 600 and change, in terms of like what it would cost. And to what Warren said, yeah, great. What Caleb was doing and what I was doing, both of them have the cash value in the policy still growing. But the one difference was what I was trying to say is if I can borrow from the insurance company at a lower rate than what I pay myself back, I also make the spread. So that was another piece that was not factored into that equation. But that's okay. I think we did kind of factor it in because I think he said, all right, I'll take that spread and I'll put it into paid up additions to some extent. So we'll redo that video. And I'll have Craig on it. And we'll show all the mathematics. But that's a great one. Thank you, Warren. Yeah, banking truce. That was the Oregon cash flow guy. Thank you, Kevin. Oregon cash flow.
And Stephen, did we have any questions? I know you and I were both getting at them. Any ones that you think you should bring up for the group?
I saw somebody in the chat, a couple of people asking about, what the right amount is to fund one of these policies with, how much they can put into it, and then, how quickly can they take the money out. So that might be a good one just to hit real fast.
Yeah, I mean, you can put any dollar amount you want into the policies. We always say try to make the minimum 10 times your age. So in other words, just add a zero after your age, and that would be your minimum monthly. Now, this is not a steadfast rule, but this is a pretty good barometer for where the policy design would start to make sense. So I'm 48 years old. If I had a zero behind mine, that's $480 a month. So that would be my minimum. So however old you are, or whoever that was asking that, just add a zero. That would be your minimum. And then what was the second component of that question?
And just being able to like take it out to like if they want to use it to pay off debt. Like if they put 15 grand in, have 10 grand in debt, how quickly can they put the 15 in and then pull it out to pay off the debt?
Yeah, immediately in the first 30 days. Usually a lot less time than that, but we just cover ourselves by saying 30 days. So if you put money into any of these policies, I don't care if there's a dump in or no dump in, your money will be available immediately in the first 30 days. Each design is going to kind of determine how much is available, but most of the designs we're doing are north of 70%. We used to say 60 to 90. Gosh, I haven't seen a plan design, unless it was a rated case, in a long time that only gave you 60%. Most of the plan designs now, because of the vaults and just we've gotten much better with designing the policies for maximum efficiency. All the different IBC practitioners out there are all kind of pushing the envelope, trying to find ways to design these for more efficiencies. So we've got it pretty well dialed in. I would say on average, most of our policies, you can take 80+% from immediately in the first year. Different variants, as dividends, come at the end of the year, not the beginning. So that would be a good one. But yeah, you're always going to have access to the capital. Now, when I first started, I was paying debt off. I didn't have a dump in. I just did monthly, okay? And I did every quarter, I would take a loan from my policy quarterly, pay down a debt, take and recapture the amount that I freed up by paying that debt down, and just kept recirculating that. That's how I got out of debt. But that's kind of what I showed you, but I just did one time around. And the other thing too, folks, is, like Stephen had mentioned, as we kind of talk about this stuff, if any of you want to get on a call with us to kind of look at what would this look like for you, you could give us any of your scenarios. You can say, all right, today I'm saving $400 a month. What would it look like if I put that $400 a month into a policy? And here are my goals. I want to pay off this debt, or I want to buy a car, or I want to do this. How long would it take me to be able to, do this said goal? And we can run all those scenarios for you. So all you got to do is just give us your phone number over there in the chat, or give us your phone number in the Q&A. And then what we'll do is we'll shoot you a text asking when you want to jump on a call. And if you want to jump on a call right now, We have mentors ready because, like I said, you're not going to talk to a computer here. We're trying to just get you direct to the person that's going to solve the problem. Oh, how would a trust fit with this? Yeah, the trust could be the owner. So there's lots of reasons to have a trust own the policy. Like estate planning is a big one. You use an ILIT for that. So that would be more like estate planning. And we do a lot of that work in our advanced services team. But you always want to make sure that the reason you're using the trust is the right reason. There's a lot of people out there flinging and selling trusts that don't make any sense for the person. So just be really careful. And thank you, Carol. We'll reach out to you and get you set up with a call. All right, Craig.
All right. So we've had a lot of questions. We've got about 15 minutes left. And so Chris had gone through the whole process of how the infinite banking concept works. The product that we're using to support that is a specially designed whole life policy. There's a lot of different directions we could go here. So just want to query the group. Is there anything Chris has talked about that you want to see in more of a practical, numbers-based fashion? We can go through debt profiles. We can go through how loans work. We can go through how policies work. So if you have any preferences, throw it in the comments and I'm happy to jump into it. Otherwise, I'm just going to jump into it and start covering a couple things. Judy's asking a question, is it wise to transfer old 401k funds into a policy of this type? So
No.
Stephen, I don't know if you want to talk about what you can do with old 401ks, because that would be a quick side conversation, then we can jump into it.
Yeah, no, I mean, so a 401k is what is known as qualified money, qualified funds, meaning they were put into a vehicle that the IRS designates as special tax advantages as long as the rules are all followed. And so when you have money in qualified funds, if you withdraw the money early to do something else with it, you might be subject to penalties and fees and things of that nature. So Judy, if you're over 59 and a half and you can access that money, maybe it's a good idea to start withdrawing some from that to get into the whole life. It really depends on your situation. We can talk you through that. So it's going to depend on your age, your health, and your overall kind of financial plan and goals. So we can talk with you through that. If it's not appropriate to use the 401k, old 401k money, a lot of times we'll say, well, let's still control that money, because with a 401k, you're giving up control. You're limited to what you can invest in and how you can use it to grow wealth and whatnot. So a lot of times we'll show you how to put it into what's called a self-directed retirement account. And by moving it from the old 401k to a self-directed IRA, as an example, there's no penalties or fees or anything involved from the IRS with that. And so it gives you control of that money, and then you can use that money to do things like private money lending, invest in businesses or real estate, and other alternative investing techniques and strategies that we teach through some of our other trainings. So kind of depends on your overall situation, but usually we want to keep those things separate: the qualified funds and all your non-qualified, your cash, your W-2 income, 1099 income, things like that. That's the money you're going to want to try and change that one thing and run that money through the policy first before you go use it for all the rest of it.
Hey, Stephen, could you do me a solid as he's doing that? Over in the Q&A, someone had my book and someone threw it away. Can you give them that new link that we did that has all the resources, the quick start guide, the books, and everything else? You want to share that? I'm sure everybody else that doesn't have the book would love it.
One of the things I was thinking about, Chris, as you were going through talking about how the whole process works in the circle of money, there were a lot of questions about when can I take loans? How do loans work? How do these policies work? So I'm thinking, especially for a lot of the new folks, would it be interesting for you to get a little more detail on what does a traditionally designed whole life policy look like versus we keep talking about specially designed. What is this specially designed? I can run through that. So if the new folks want to see that, maybe we spend about 5 minutes on that piece just so you can kind of understand what we're talking about. And then I know we've got a lot of folks that have already been using the vault. So if you have specific questions, we can jump into those, but I'm going to share out my screen. Let me pick a different policy here real quick. So I'm in the vault, and here's what I want to go over first. When we talk about the infinite banking concepts process, we're using a specially designed whole life policy, and Chris kind of mapped out why we're doing that and how the money flows. But can you go down to the State Farm office? Can you go down to your brother-in-law that sells Prudential or really any life insurance company and get one of these policies. And the question would be, they probably don't know how to set these up. They don't know how to do the specially designed piece. And so I just want to give you a quick representation. What you're seeing on your screen is a policy where a person, let's just say they're putting in $10,155 of premium, and that could be every year. Maybe they put it in once a year, but throughout the year, they're getting in about $10,155. Now, Chris has explained we want to put our savings into these policies and then take a loan to pay down debts, or we want to take a loan to buy a car, or we want to take a loan for opportunities. If I have a traditionally designed policy and my cash value is zero, how well does this process work that Chris just explained? Probably not so well, because we just put in $10,155 and we have no cash value to use. This is what it looks like when you have what we call an all-base policy. Now let's check it out. Year 2, we put in another $10,155. How much cash do we have available to use? Well, we have none. We have zero. And a lot of the questions I was seeing earlier, there were questions about, well, don't I have to wait 3 years? Don't I have to wait 4 years or 5 years to use the money? Well, in a traditionally designed policy, that may be true. Look what's happening by year 3. We've put in over $30,000 of cumulative premium, and we only have $5,433 to use. So you may look at this and go, yeah, I don't know that this is working that well for a banking system. If I'm putting in 10,000 or I put in 30,000 over 3 years and I only have 5,000 to use. The other challenge that we see with traditionally designed whole life is, let's just jump on down here to year 17. We put in a cumulative amount of premium of 172,000. Our cash value is now about 174,000. So we're almost at that break-even point, but it took us 17 years to break even. This, my friends, is what it looks like to have a traditionally designed whole life policy. And look, if you have one of these already and you've had it for 10 or 15 years, it may be at the point where, it's getting efficient and you can use it. So I wouldn't say throw it away, but now I want to use the same amount of money and show you what it looks like when you're working with our team and we're building what's called a specially designed policy. Same amount of money, $10,155 going in year 1. And as opposed to having zero in cash value, we have $8,410. Now, what can we use that cash value for? Well, Chris talked about that little opportunity box that could be used to help accelerate our debts. That could be used to go do major purchases. That could be used for opportunity funds. And what we're going to do is continue this process where we put in another 10,000. Now we have 17,989 of cash value. So when we compare this to the traditionally designed policy where we've put in 30,000 in year 3 and we have 28 to use versus 5, that's what we mean. We're driving these policies to have high cash value, lower death benefits, so that you can use them as a banking function. So you can use them to pay down debts and buy major purchases and do opportunities. Now, the cool thing is the cumulative on this particular policy, they're all different. Sometimes it could be year 4, 5, 6, 7, but this one is breaking even cumulatively in year 6 as opposed to year 17. So hopefully that gives you a flavor of what it looks like to deal with a specially designed policy versus a traditionally designed policy. And as long as you have cash value here to use, you can continue to take loans. All right, so just to see if everyone's been following, if I take, let's say at year 3, I take a $20,000 loan here, is that going to slow down this cash value growth that you see in this column? Who says by me taking a $20,000 loan here is going to result in less cash value? Growth, I should say. So Jalen says no. Dottie says no. Chris, I think you did a good job of explaining this because everyone's getting the answers correct.
That's great. All right. Well, that's good.
So the beautiful thing is,
I just talked to
yeah, I mean, if we take this money out that Chris is talking about as a loan, we're not interrupting that compounding, which means why wouldn't we want to do that? Why wouldn't we want to take that loan to accelerate our debt? Why wouldn't we want to take a loan to fund that major purchase? With our remaining time, I want to just give you a quick example of a debt plan, and I'm just going to pull one up here. If you're going to schedule a call with our team, and let's say that you do have some debts, you might have student loans, you might have personal credit cards, you might have car loans, student loans, whatever that is. What we want to do is collect this information so we can get it into the vault and we can start to do some planning around your cash flow. What does your specific situation look like? But once we have all of your debts defined, we have the names, the balances, the interest rates, the payments. If you don't have that, go ahead and work on getting that stuff rounded up and then, get on the call, book your call. We'll go through this with you. But we want to know what your debt situation looks like. So let's say you have $78,000 of debt, you're paying about $1,265 a month in debt payments. This is all, if you just continue in this debt cycle, you're not only going to be paying 78,000, but you're going to have all that interest cost on top of it going out the door. This is money gone from your family forever. You've lost the opportunity cost. It's out of here. So some of the strategies you may have heard of in the past are snowball, avalanche, cash flow index. Essentially, what those strategies are saying is when you pay off this personal credit card and you have $75 left, what should we do with that $75? Who can tell me what we should do with the $75 to be efficient? So what we would do, yeah, exactly, we would add it on to the next thing. So we'll take that 75, add it to the business credit card. And when the business credit card's done, we'll stack that. So we're just going to keep stacking this over and over and over. That's the most efficient way to pay debts off if you have no other cash flow. But let's take a look at something here. If you take that $75 from that first debt and you go out and spend it and buy a Gucci purse or whatever you're going to do with the extra debt money, go out to eat more often, you've got about 181 months ahead of you to pay all that debt off, and you're going to throw another $30,000 of interest towards that debt payoff. This is how people stay in the cycle of being broke and not building wealth. We're not paying ourselves first. We're not doing any of the 6 laws of wealth. Now, what we do is we look at if we just put this money into the or put your debts into order and pay them off by stacking those debts. When we're done paying debt number one off, we add that to debt number two. It's 80 months versus 181 months. And instead of paying 30,000 of interest, you're at 22. So this is really the first step of what we do in our strategy is get your debts ordered. But what we want to do is look at what if we were to use, an infinite banking designed system with a specially designed whole life policy. So I'm going to grab that same policy we just went through that has the $10,000 a year. And what I want to do is assume that we're going to maybe every year we're going to put that $10,000 in, and then we're going to take the loan within the first how many days? If I fund this today, about how many days is it going to be before I can pull that money out?
Oh, see, they were listening.
Yep, 30, 30, 30. You guys got it. So within the first 30 days, I'm going to pull out the maximum loan, and guess what I'm going to do with that money? I'm going to go up to this first debt and I'm going to get rid of that one. I'm going to get rid of the business credit card. So I'm going to take as much money out of my policy and just expire some of these debts. Then I'm going to take these debt payments and just stack them onto the personal loan and accelerate that. But what does that look like numerically if we go ahead and run this? So I'm going to do what's called activate the cash value boost. And that's the process of throwing that extra money, if you will, from the policy. Now, remember, we're compounding at the same time, but we're going to take that money and throw it at those debts. So now instead of 181 months or 80 months, all of those debts are gone in 42 months. So what this means is we're no longer making payments to the Visas and the Visas, the Amex, the car loan, the dealership, the bank. We've refinanced a chunk of that debt into our own policy, into our own system. Now, once we have the debt inside of our own banking system into our policies, is that something reported on our credit report? Is that debt in our policy public? Yeah, that's public. It's not public anymore. So that'll help our credit scores. That'll do a lot of things. Plus, what if you have a bad month or two after you've retired these debts and we start paying back the policy? What if you lose a job? What if you have a big expense that comes up and you can't make your loan payment that month? Is that going to be something bad where the insurance company calls you up and says, "Hey, Jalen, I noticed that you didn't make your loan payment this month. We're coming to get your car." And yeah, you guys are right. No, there are no consequences for not paying that loan, but we want to be an honest banker and pay that back. So look, at the end of the day, if we're running that money through the policy and we're paying our loans, we're getting those debts out of our life faster. We're getting that into our own private system. We're in more control. And at the end of that debt cycle, so in 78 months, we've retired all of our external debts, we've paid off our policy loans in full, we've recapitalized our system. We now have $1,265 of extra cash flow. We have a cash value of over $70,000 and a death benefit of 295. So how do you like paying debts this way versus the no strategy or just the avalanche or snowball? I think I would rather do it through the infinite banking strategy. Now, here's another question. Let's say that we're at month 78. We have our policy fully restored. We have death benefit. We have all this stuff done, but you have $1,265 of free cash flow. What are you going to do with that $1,265 of cash flow? Anybody have an idea of what we could do with that extra money? Reinvest into a policy, buy another policy, another policy. You guys are nailing it. Yeah, we would look at maybe your spouse. Maybe it's time to get a policy on your spouse, or maybe for the kids, or this is money that we now want to build into other policies, or to, as Terry says, if you have more room in your existing policy, let's do that. Shauna's going to Disneyland, and guess what? Shauna's going to make a repayment back as she does into her policies every year. So, um, but that's what we're looking towards when we think about adhering to the six laws of wealth, using the infinite banking concept process as our foundation to run our savings into. And this was just one example of debt, but we can use this for opportunities. We can use this for major purchases. So, I mean, you guys, I love seeing the comments because you guys are nailing it. You could be a private lender, you can invest, you can, put these money into opportunities. So, Chris, anything else you want to add on this?
No, I think what this shows you is, like when I do it on the board, when we talk through it, when we show you spreadsheets, a lot of people think, oh, it's just too hard, it's just too complicated, it's too hard. Where this what you just showed does all the math for you, and it just eliminates all the issues that we may have had in the past to be able to say, well, I think this is a more efficient way, or I think this is the best way to do it. Now, mathematically, you can see exactly what the most efficient way of paying debt down, the most efficient way of buying major purchases, and through the gains projector, now that that's done, the most efficient way to invest dollars using the infinite banking concept. And each one gives you a comparison. I love that no strategy versus the other alternatives. You can see like how much actual dollars and cents you're putting back in your pocket. So this becomes your operating system. This becomes your GPS when you're looking at creating your own banking system. I think that's the best part about it.
Yep. Yep. So I know we've gone a bit over. There are other strategies we can go through with major purchases and opportunity funds, but just wanted to give everybody a flavor for what an example would look like and how this actually, we do this on a day by day basis with many clients, showing them how to get out of debt in a more efficient way, how to run money through opportunities. So, really at month 78, you're in really good position with this extra cash flow. You've got your family protection through death benefit. You've got $73,000 of cash value there that you could put into opportunities or have for emergency funds. Well, with that, let's see if there's any final questions, and then we can wrap it up and let everybody get back to their day.
Yeah, let's see. So Catherine just sent one over in the Q&A. That's
Let's
a good
see.
one.
Catherine says, does this work for businesses as well? Do you have someone that can walk us through creating for a business too? Well, absolutely. So
That would be
Catherine,
advanced markets for sure.
yeah, so you can reach out to me. That's kind of what my team specifically does. We work on what's called corporate owned life insurance. there's a lot of cool strategies there where you can have the business own and pay for the policy, and then all of the cash value can be used in the business. And there's different structures. There's key person, there's buy sell. So we'd want to understand more about your specific situation in your business. But if you want to reach out to me, I'll just give you my information here.
PUA stands for paid up additions. It's a part of the rider when we design the policy. It's not really a material thing that you need to understand, but that's what gives you the high early cash value, and that's what reduces the commission. So we get paid significantly lower commission on paid up additions than we do on the base part of the policy. So the majority of your deposits go into paid up additions. So it pays us less commission, goes direct into the insurance company's general account, earning right then and there, and gives you immediate access to your money. Good question.
And I think, Chris, I went over this probably too quickly, but I think it would be worth touching on with that particular subject. So let me ask you a question here. Let's go back to this traditionally designed whole life policy.
And then, Stephen, can you make sure somebody reaches out to Carol?
Got it.
Yep. So you remember how we were putting in $10,000 in the traditionally designed whole life policy, and over here we have $846,000 of death benefit. So, Chris, what's a commission? What do you think a commission would be on a policy like this? If I put in $10,000 in a traditionally designed or in a normally,
Minimum 55%. So just call it $5,000.
but it's all base.
Yeah, so if it was all base, if you did like in New York, the commission rate's 55%. So if that policy was written in New York, it'd be about $5,075, give or take.
And we have a death benefit, $846,000. Now let's use that exact same thing and look at this policy where this might be something our team develops.
So now you're going to get paid 55% on the $2,500. The remaining amount you're going to get paid roughly 2% on. So I'd have to do the math, but 2,500, let's just do it real quickly. 1375, all right, you did it faster than me because you got that right on your computer. So 1375 versus just a smidgen over 5,000 in commission. The difference is in the cash value.
But then also look at the death benefit. So we're giving up, a difference in the death benefit, and also the way the policy is designed, it's favoring you to get more cash value. So that's where the paid up additions, that PUA thing we're talking about, that's where we're trying to get the majority of the premium, because that's what creates the cash value. So that's what we're doing on the structure there.
And just remember, folks, if any of you want to book a call to have us design a policy for you, to have us show you what your scenario would look like, because it's one thing to design a policy. It's another thing to actually see how that policy is going to solve your problem, whatever that problem is, okay? So we can model all of that using the Vault software. Also, if any of you love the Vault and you want to get it, just go to byobinnovations.com, I keep saying that, byobvault.com. So we'll type that in there, and you can demo it. You can try it out for 7 days, see if you like it, and then you can subscribe to it. The other thing too, Stephen, you want to hit on the event that we got going up? I kind of subliminally put it behind me here.
Yeah, definitely. So we're actually all of us going to be out in Atlanta, Georgia in just a couple of weeks. So we're going to arrive on April 30th, which is a Thursday. And we have a little welcome reception that evening for the VIP ticket holders. And then starting first thing Friday morning, May 1st, we will kick off what's known as the Private Money Club Money Tank event. And this is 2 full days of education, networking, partnerships, relationships, and really all things real estate investing and wealth building related. So we're going to talk about the infinite banking concept, becoming your own bank, how to become a private lender, grow wealth, and everything in between, even getting involved in asset protection, saving on taxes and note investing, land investing. We actually even have a little piece on AI that we're going to be talking about at Money Tank. So something for everybody, but we do have a few tickets left. So go over to privatemoneyclub.com/Money Tank and grab a ticket. We'd love to see all of you guys there. It's a great opportunity to learn more and meet with us in person, which I don't think we're going to be doing another event in person this year. So it might be your only chance.
Yep. And then Stephen, did you ever post that link with the books? I had a couple people asking if we ever posted that.
It's not fully operating for some reason. So if you guys just email me, snaggy@chrisnaugle.com.
Oh, sorry, I got ahead of myself.
Books. Yeah, that's okay. I did give it to a couple of people, but I tested it and it sends like a weird email. So you guys just email me and I'll get it over to you.
Sorry about that, folks. I saw it the other day, got excited about it because it's a link, and we'll have it soon, that has all of our resources on it, the books, the quick start guide, everything in one place, the videos. Yeah.
Well, let's see, I got mapping out the millionaire. Here, I can share this with you guys. This is a
Yeah, maybe just give them mapping out.
I'm gonna share a link with you guys. This one will work actually. Man, my son plays this game on his computer. It's like a typing game, but the quicker you type, it's like a race car. So they're racing on a racetrack, and your car goes faster as you type faster. And I got to tell you, I'm a pretty fast typer, and that kid's flying right now, beating me. So it's pretty cool to see. It's neat, like to see that kind of thing happen with young people. Let's see. It allows you to add a guest. Can that person be someone who is also interested?
100%.
Yeah, Judy, I would recommend it being somebody that you trust your financial situation with. So if it's like a friend and you want to stay private, maybe let them set up their own call. But if it's, your spouse or a partner or something like that, you'll definitely want to be on that call with each other so you guys can both understand it. It's a great question.
And Chris, I saw that Tommy had an interesting question comment, which was the biggest debate, I think, is getting term than investing the rest instead of whole life and IBC.
That's not a debate. We already did that. We did a whole white paper showing the mathematics behind that. Listen, like we're not the shop that sits there and says term is bad, don't buy term. Like I own term insurance. Like we use term insurance riders on all of our policies, but term as a standalone full protection for a family is an absolute flawed planning technique. Term insurance is exactly what it says. It's for a term of time. So it's going to expire 10, 20, 30 years, whatever your term is, it's going to expire at that time. And statistically, less than 2% of all term policies ever even pay a death benefit. So it's a great profit center for insurance companies. The second part of that is invest the difference. So you would basically, in doing that, you would look at a regular whole life and you'd say whole life is $200 a month. The term insurance is $100 a month. And I know these aren't the numbers, but I'm just giving it to you. So then you invest that $100 in savings that normally you would have to put into the whole life for the coverage. And then that $100 over time compounds and grows on hypothetical returns. So what we did is we did an entire white paper, an industry white paper, not one that we just did for us, one that we did that was, partially and will in the future be more adopted by the industry, that literally runs through lots of scenarios of IBC, so using a policy for all the same things, versus by term invest the difference. And we did that by term, versus by the specially designed whole life, and then put the money in a high yield savings. Then we did put the money in an S&P 500. And we showed various scenarios, maybe even got a little too far into it, just to kind of level the playing field, and various returns, that came in on that. And we played around with the different sequence of returns. And, Craig, do you want to tell them the results of that? I mean, it was pretty eye-opening for a lot of people that thought buy term invest the difference was the ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to use real numbers based on the past historical S&P, and then we did the stock bond mix, like the 60/40s. But what was interesting is in the short term, the buy term invest the difference may have had an advantage. However, long term, using the cash value in the whole life policy and investing in the same things that we were investing in with the buy term invest the difference, which was the S&P 500, the whole life policy won. And the reason it won is because of all the ups and downs, you still had the growth in the policy continuing. And what the biggest takeaway I came from this whole study, it was about 7 months of number crunching that we did on this. Funding the policy and doing absolutely nothing with it compared to funding the policy and using the cash value for the investment. In 30 years, it turned out to be pretty damn similar. There wasn't a lot of difference in all, because of all the ups and downs of the market. So anyway, it was a really cool study. If you want to read it, I'll put the link in there again, just if you want to take a look at it.
Awesome. Well, with that being said, folks, it's been awesome being here with you today. Thank you all for joining us, and 113 people still here 15 minutes after the closing bell went. But I appreciate it. Dottie, thanks for joining us, and I'm glad you enjoyed the 6 Laws of Wealth. With that being said, folks, join us out there at Money Tank in Atlanta, and that is coming up end of this month, early, first couple days of May there, May 1st and 2nd. Look forward to meeting all of you, rubbing shoulders, talking, and solving some money problems. Thanks. We'll see you next time.